Mondays with Mark Allen. Welcome back, everybody. Here in the United States, we had some great news. NCAA and USA Triathlon has been working in conjunction with each other, along with this gentleman who's going to be talking to you, and I'll be talking with today, Tim+Yount, the Chief Sport Development Officer at USA Triathlon. We've been trying to get this to be an official sport in NCAA and colleges here in the United States. We got the 40 schools signed up that it was required to have this happen. Tim has been really spearheading this for quite a while now. COVID got in the way. So Tim, welcome. I just wanted to ask you, when did you start working on this and how long did you have to get this done? Because I know they had a time limit of a number of years to get 40 schools signed up to make it an official sport.
Yeah, Mark, really appreciate you bringing me on. It is a very, very exciting time for us. The whole genesis of this really goes back to 2008 when two people of the USA Triathlon office had a conversation about what can we do to help continue to build draft legal racing. You know, that was kind of the years when it was sort of being questioned. Do we want to do this as an organization? Do we not? Will the athletes embrace and stuff like that? We felt like we needed to. And so we built the basis for all the things we had to do with marketing and promotions for 5 years. We had to get 10 letters from the NCAA in order to start the process. In 2013, we got legislative council support to be considered on the floor of the NCAA convention in 2014 as an emerging sport. Emerging sport means the sport is positioned to be a full-fledged NCAA championship sport because of the nature of the sport and what it's made of and the kind of sport that it is and the growth and potential that it has and all those things. So we built out a really good promotional plan. We were accepted almost overwhelmingly on the floor of the NCAA convention. 94% of the athletic directors for Division 1, 2, and 3 support the sport as an emerging sport. And once that was passed, we started working hard and fast. We created the basic structure of the sport with rules, policies, bylaws. We looked at our championship schedule and how we're going to create the championships around the events that we wanted to do. And then in 2017, I was managing with a leader in our office this whole process. In 2017, she left. And our CEO at the time said, Tim, I need for you to take over the NCAA program. I need for you to take it. I need for you to start the recruitment process. So 2017, Mark, we started and we worked like crazy to get to 40. And so really our schedule of hard recruitment has been 5 years. And we had 10 years that we had to become full-fledged NCAA in order for them to not shut us down and say you're no longer emerging, you're no longer part of the growth pattern that we set up for a sport that could be someday NCAA.
I think it's just pretty exciting because it really validates the sport of triathlon to have that as an official NCAA Division I sport that will have an NCAA championship. And I think it's actually pretty cool that it ended up on the women's side, just because triathlon has a huge history of, equality between men and women, and having this history of some of the most amazing races ever in the sport coming from the women's side. This has to be great for the development, not only for the sport, but especially for women's involvement in the sport of triathlon.
Yeah. And we use that a lot in our conversations with athletic directors. Is we talk about the history of our women's side of the sport. We talk about our Olympians. We talk about our medalists. We talk about our success in World Cups and World Championships and all those things. And not that we ignore the men, but this is a Title IX move by the NCAA. It just happened to be the 50th anniversary of Title IX this year, the year that we actually hit 40. And so it all is kind of worked together, and it's meshed into a really nice relationship with the NCAA because they respect what we do as a sport. They think we're a true, pure sport, which we are. The women add to that. And as we continue to build up the women, these opportunities, think about it. As an 8, 9, 10-year-old, you now get to think about NCAA triathlon. That never existed, Mark, when you were racing. You probably never crossed your mind as the friends you had who were females were racing the sport who would ever think they would have an opportunity. Now their kids might have that opportunity, or their kids' kids could have the opportunity many years down the road to be able to do NCAA racing, to be an NCAA champion, to be seen on television on NCAA championship events that they would actually cover. That's pretty cool.
And for sure, it's going to create some heroes and definitely role models for a lot of young girls and for sure young guys. I mean, some of the greatest inspirations for me were watching some of the amazing races that happened in our sport from the women's side. The Chrissy Wellington and Miranda Carfree matchups, the Lucy Charles and Daniela Reef matchups, the Paula Newby-Fraser and Erin Baker matchups. And actually that kind of goes back actually to in 1989 at the first ITU World Championship. There was a moment where the ITU was going to pull the prize money from the women's side and put it all on the men's side. We as athletes, men and women together, walked into their Congress and said, if the prize money is not equal, none of us are racing. Amazingly, they put the money back in, we all raced. And I think it really put a stake in the ground that said, you know what, the men's racing is important, the women's racing is important, the sport is important. This is a great stepping stone and a great milestone and stake in the ground, I think, for the sport in general, and especially for the women's side.
Yeah, and part of what we talk about with the athletic directors and senior women's administrators and other administrators is they don't know much about the sport. They think that we're Ironman. In the first couple of months I was talking to athletic directors about, they're like, there's no way this is going to fit into a 20-hour training week that we're allowed to have according to NCAA rules. I said, whoa, time out. We're not talking about 18, 19-year-old females doing an Ironman. We're talking about a sprint distance, draft legal, multiple loops, very exciting, high energy, and all the other things that you can imagine. So we have quickly changed the narrative for a lot of these administrators. We do monthly update or quarterly updates for them, and most of the athletic directors know that, number one, our women had great success in some very big events over our time as a sport. They know that we're emerging. They know that we're moving fast. We've been aggressive with our pursuit of new institutions. And I think they also believe that the future is that triathlons Olympians of whatever, 2028, might be LA, it might be 2032, could very well come through NCAA programs. And that's certainly what we hope about. The other thing, Mark, I wanted to mention really quick, you talk about some amazing athletes. The other thing we're going to start seeing is a lot more amazing head-to-head matchups between institutions. So team structure, which is obviously a fairly new concept for our sport as well, where the battles between Division I institutions will be really high, and the battles between great Division II programs, the great Division III programs will be really high. And that is a concept I think people will really enjoy, because it mirrors a lot of what you see in high school sports, but now we get to see it at the collegiate level in our sport.
Well, the team competition, the relays in the Olympics was one of the highlights for a lot of people, and especially for people who really didn't know a lot about triathlon or haven't watched it. They were like, wow, this is really exciting. When will they start actually doing the NCAA racing with the triathlon?
With triathlon, that's the perfect question, because one of the things we're doing right now is just starting that process with the NCAA to say, what committees need to approve this, what legislative councils, we have an idea of which ones do, and then the divisions have to approve it, then the NCAA has to get the budget, and we think it's going to be a fairly hefty budget to support the sport, to do great things with the sport. It's our hope, is that we can do this in about 18 months.
Wow.
The reality of it is it could be 18 to 24 months, depending on how quickly these committees and these groups can get together at their meetings and push this through. We've been very methodical. We've been very, very clear with the NCAA about the steps that we're taking, so that when it came time to get approval, it wasn't, well, I wonder if they're doing this right. I wonder if they're doing this very well. They should know that we're doing this right. They should know we're doing it very well. And they should hopefully move us through that process much more quickly than a sport that they know nothing about.
Well, just again, super exciting news. Huge congratulations to you for all the work that you've put in.
Thanks,
a lot of young women out there. I hope you are licking your chops, getting ready, getting training, getting going, knowing that you are going to have a chance to be a collegiate athlete if you're a triathlete. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't wait to see the first of these races. They're going to be super exciting. Obviously, with sprint format, with some team competition going in there, doesn't get any better than that. Congratulations, Tim.
Mark, is a great team effort. I want to thank everybody that was part of this push. We're going to continue to move forward and make this happen as quickly as we possibly can. Mark, really appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Awesome. Mondays with Mark Allen. Thanks for staying tuned. We'll see you next week. Have a great one.